Alright, we'll get to the show in just a moment. I'm just letting it spool for a moment. You probably can hear me right now, which means that I probably don't have to let it spool. But we have had problems in the past where the front and end of the project have been cut off just because of the way YouTube, when it gets its bits or whatever. Also, on a side note, does anyone use the term spool anymore? I just realized that that's kind of a filmy thing, isn't it? I don't know if anyone knows what a spool is at this point. Yeah, I guess I'm just an old person. Or it might just be jargon that people still use, so... I mean, like, hang up the phone is still used. I've seen people say that as they press buttons when I haven't seen a hanging phone in years. Unless I, like, stumble upon a, payphone somewhere. Alright, let's get started. Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of Breakfast with Unity. I'm your host, Max Moreau, and we're going to be playing around with some Stencil Shaders stuff. So, first off, I'm not a shader expert yet. I'm still working on that. I've gotten pretty good at the C# side of things. I've gotten pretty good at, like, the Unity side of things, but, like, shader stuff is still not my strongest point, but I'm getting better with it. And a lot of this is going to be based on what Jeffrey did for the stencils that we used in our game that we did for the VOG Jam. So what I'm going to be showing you is this, although we're going to convert another shader just so that you can see how this stuff works. And we're just going to basically go over how this stuff works. So first of all, we're just going to create a scene, and I'm just going to show you what these things can do. What are we going to do? We're going to create let's see, what should we do here? So we can create a object. Let's create just a cube in the background. And we're going to create a light so that it looks okay, and we're going to make the cube kind of bigger. That's the light, not the cube. Scaling lights doesn't really do anything. So let's do something like that. See how that looks real quick. Oh, that looks real good. All right. So, make it a little bit bigger. So we have this cube and it's rendering. And we could put another cube or a sphere. Let's just create a sphere and put it in front of it. And I'm going to give it a color so that we can tell what's going on. I'm just going to create a new material here. Create new material. Example. And we will throw this onto our sphere. And we will make it like red or something. And so if we hit play, things happen as you would expect. You see a red sphere in front of a white object. Now, we've got a couple shaders here that we could use. I'm going to create another material. I'm going to call this, example object and example mask. So sphere is now set as example mask, and we're going to put example object on the cube. And we're going to change example object to use a different shader. We're going to go into custom stencil mask one Z less. That's not what I wanted. Sorry. Custom stencil diffuse equal 1. That's what we want. So, no, one more time. Sorry. Custom stencil diffuse not equal 1. There we go. So as you can see, things look exactly as they did before. Here I'll show you just so that there's no. If we go back to diffuse, it will look exactly the same. And the reason being is this is exactly like the diffuse shader, except for one little difference. It checks the stencil buffer to see if there's a value of 1 in the stencil buffer, and anywhere there's a value of 1 in the stencil buffer, it stops rendering. So that's what it does. And so if we change the sphere now to mask instead of rendering, so we're not going to render the sphere anymore, but we're going to instead make it so that anytime that that something's behind this object, it gets masked. We do that, and now we can cut a hole out of it with our sphere. And you can see that if I move the sphere around, we are cutting a hole in the object. I could actually put another object behind it if we want to prove that this is not smoke and mirrors. Let's just create a cylinder or something, some other object that we haven't had, and put it behind. So if we hit play, you will see that we can clearly see the cylinder through the sphere. That's cool. We already have the makings of a James Bond intro right here. All right. So how does this work? So let's look at the actual shader code real quick, and then let's do a little visual depiction in TextEdit. So in our diffuse shader, I'm going to open up two diffuse shaders. I'm going to open up the original, where is it? Built-in shaders. The original diffuse shader is called normal diffuse. I don't know why it's called normal diffuse, but that's what it's called. As you can see, that it just resolves to diffuse when we actually have the menu here. So I'm going to open up, where's the other one here? We were using diffuse ref not equal 1, and we're using mask z1 z less. So diffuse not equal 1 looks very similar to the original diffuse shader. The only reason it looks a little different is because we've spaced out some things here. But the core of it is right here. This is it. This is the subshader right here. And if we look at this, and we look at the original normal diffuse, other than the spacing, it's very, very similar. As a matter of fact, you might even say that it is identical, with the exception of this. Bam, that's not in the original there. And all this does is ref 1 means we want to set things to 1. Comp not equal means that we want to... Oh, wait. Sorry, we don't want to set this. Ref means we're looking for ones. Ref 1. We're looking for ones. Comparison not equal means we want things to not be equal to 1. And pass keep means what we want to do in that case. So pass keep means we want to keep our pixels if the stencil buffer is not equal to 1. So keep pixels if our stencil is not equal to 1. So what is the stencil buffer real quick? Let's talk about this. So the stencil buffer is just another pixel buffer on the screen. It is a per pixel buffer. And the way it works is it just has a bunch of zeros in it normally. And when you render stuff to it, you can change what these things are. So we haven't changed anything yet. We're just checking them. But mask z1 less, this is the one that actually changes them. So this program, this one here, I don't know why that was tabbed out like that. This one here, the way it works is we're doing a similar thing here. We're doing ref 1, comp always, pass replace. So oh, pass keep. Sorry, that's not what I thought. Wait, how does this work? Pass keep, pass replace. Well, I'm just making sure that there's not an extra line in here that I was missing. No, this is right. So in this case, what we're doing is instead of we're checking 1. This time we're always going to do it. So if we do something, we're going to do it. And so always makes you think that it would do something to every pixel. That's not true. It's every pixel that gets rendered to by the fragment shader here, which is determined by the vertexes, which is determined by the model of the object. So this will set things to 1 in the stencil shader. So what's happening is in the stencil, we're getting a sphere. And our sphere is coming in like this. This is going to be a very angular sphere in our example here. Whoops. Oh, there we go. That's the best way to do it. So let's pretend that's our sphere. And so our sphere is rendering like this. The other thing to pay attention to here is what we're actually setting the color to on this. I actually don't know why we're setting it to anything, quite frankly. But we're just... Actually, I'm curious. If I change this, does this make any difference? Out of blind curiosity. No, it doesn't. So we... Why is it actually... So I'm finding questions I have myself. It's obviously working, but I have some questions about how it's working. Color mask 0, there it is. That's how it's working. So I was sitting here, I'm like, this should actually render some color. So if we turned off color mask, let's see if we comment out color mask and save, what we see, yeah, there we go. So you'll notice here that now the background has become white here. And the reason the background has become white is because we're actually setting all the pixels to white. Originally it was actually this, so this would actually be a yellow, I think. Yeah, so yellow. So this shows the mask behind, and the reason it does is because we're setting the color here, and so it sets the color, but it also is masking against the object. So color mask 0 means that we don't care about the color. There is no color in this. We're not going to be writing any color information to the screen, and so this just basically makes the object invisible, so that when it renders, it only is affecting the stencil buffer. This is the only thing that's actually happening here. The rest of this is just to make this happen. So this is just the standard. This is the stuff that we have to get to render the vertices and the objects. We use that to get the vertex shader portion, and then here's the fragment shader portion. We've been doing a lot of surface shader stuff, so this is vertex shader. The surface shader is very similar to the fragment shader, and the vertex shader is, we have to use a vertex shader even when we use a fragment shader. So when we use a surface shader. So yeah, so that's basically how this stuff actually works. This is just setting up a mask to render to. Now, there's other versions of this that we can use too. We can make it so that we can make it the opposite, right? We could make it so, and this won't show up that great, but if we change the sphere, instead of, actually, if we change the cube so that instead of rendering not equal 1, we can set it to custom stencil diffuse equal 1. And so now that is only rendering where the sphere is. And you can see that it's very flat. If we go to the scene, we can't see it at all actually in the scene. And the reason we can't see it, what did I do? I didn't mean to go to ISO mode. The reason we can't see it is because it's there. See, there it is. There it comes in. And it just renders the cube, but only where the sphere is. I did the other example first because the other example I think is more interesting for what we're doing here. But I mean, any geometry can work like this. Like this is one way. If you, as a matter of fact, shadows actually use a similar system for stenciling. We're not going to get into stencil shadows right now, but say you want to do a silhouette for your character and stuff. This is a way you could do silhouettes. This is a way you could do you know, did you ever play Zelda Ocarina of Time? It had that, like, wand of truth thing. You can look around through walls, see things. And the other thing is, we're currently just using the number 1. You can use whatever numbers you want in the stencil shader. You can set things up. And as a matter of fact, you can even set things up to increment or decrement the stencil shader to do some really special effects. Reasons that you might have 2 is for the same reason that, and I don't have it in this project. I'm just going to open up the project though. Let's save this real quick. Stencil buffer shader Unity. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to switch this back to what we had before because I think it's more cool. We're just going to set this back to position 0, and we're going to change the shader to, on the cube, we're going to change the shader to diffuse equals 1. Not equal 1. There we go. So I should have just included it in the project. And I'm going to include this in the project. We're going to open up another project here, though. VogJam. And in the VogJam here, we have what actually started this whole thing, which was Jeffrey's sweet little test here, which I'm going to open up. So what we did for the project is we made a power-up that is different power-up from different angles. And the actual rendering of this is done using stencils. And the way we've done this is, let me actually show you the geometry here. So we go to, so here's the windows. These are the ones that are the masks. And so these are just polygons. That's all they are. They're just a quad. And And what they do is they set the stencil to either 1 or 2. So the front one set it to 1 and the back one set it to 2. And then in the case of the health icon, the renderers on the health icon use diffuse equal 1. So if this is behind something that sets the stencil to 1, it renders that. And the bullets are set to specular equal 2. Actually, so I made a special specular shader. Actually, it's more than specular. I don't know why I called it just specular. It's actually a reflection cube map shader. That's the reason we get like the nice little like texture kind of shininess on the bullets there. But all the shaders inside there are set to only render on 2. And so you've now created this effect where you have this impossible space effect where 2 objects are taking up the same space, but depending on where you're looking at them, you see them differently. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just grab these things here. Curious if I can do this without doing a export. Let's open project. I'm just curious if I can throw this into Breakfast with Unity without any trouble. I have a feeling this is not going to go perfectly. So, stencil. So I'm going to throw this in here for right now. Do these work? Oh my goodness. Oh, okay, so this is not the exact same example. We had changed the prefab in some other place, but that'll work. This is the same concept. So I'm going to go ahead. I just wanted to make sure that this actually was working in some way. Oh, I see. I don't have the prefab for it anymore, so it's just whatever data was in the scene. Interesting. That's actually kind of cool. I'm going to break the prefab instance just so people don't see the red there. We're just gonna. I'm just gonna save this stencil example. So this'll, and why not? We'll just create one more. Create folder, prefabs, and I'm just gonna create a prefab with a power up. So this will just give you more stuff to chew on and play with. So as I said, there's some advanced stuff that you can do with setting the stencils to greater numbers, so that way you can render multiple passes and kind of do things. Stencils can be used for creating shadows in certain ways. I don't have the code for that. Stencils now work on Unity Basic. This is all Unity Basic. So you can actually kind of get around some limitations of Pro using stencils if you want to spend the time doing it. The other thing is stencils can be used for edge highlighting. It can be used to detect the edges of objects based on how you render the stencils and stuff. We're not covering any of that on the show just yet. Maybe I'll do some more stuff on this later. There's a lot to learn in these. Anyway, I think that just about wraps us up. I'm just going to go back to... I'm going to call this bonus stencil example. Bonus stencil example. And I'll put a prefab in here. All right, so that just about covers what I was going to cover on the show. I just wanted you guys to get a taste of these things. If you need a different material that needs this stencil stuff, all you have to do is just add that stencil stuff to the top of whatever shader you want. So just go to your built-in shaders, pick your favorite shader, and make a stencil out of it. Thank you very much for joining. Hopefully you had a good time. I know I did. Please, if you have any questions, email me, pushypixels@pushypixels.com. You can also tweet me at Drakfire. That's DRAKFYRE. Please donate on Patreon, patreon.com/cookingwithunity. By the way, thank you for the donations on Monday. I had a few donators on Monday. We actually don't get a lot of donators. Monday I didn't have any shows, so I felt kind of bad about it. But I think that was actually part of the reason that I got the money in the first place. I think people were like, "Oh my God, there's not a Cookie with Unity. Maybe I should throw some money in there just in case." So do worry, there might not be a Cookie with Unity in the future. I really want to do this for the rest of my life, but seriously, like donations help. Thank you very much, and you guys have a great one. And I'll catch you tonight with something. It's usually 2D Thursday. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing 2D Thursday, but we're going to be doing something. See ya, and have a great one. Alright, banter time. Let's see what we got in the viewers. So I don't do more audience interaction on breakfast. It's such a short show. So the shader should run just fine on mobile. I don't see why it would matter too much. Let me just double check. Hold on. Pass keep. So the only thing that makes me worry about it is, and we're not doing the operation that specifically is quoted as the problem for speed on mobile, but clipping operations on mobile are slow. So like if you just discard a pixel, it's slow on mobile, and it's because they use these tile-based rendering systems. Now I'm not sure if this counts as discarding a pixel in the same stance. Usually this is like if someone puts logic in their code that says discard a pixel under these circumstances, it's a problem. This probably becomes that though. Here, let's actually look at the compile shader. Let's just see if we can. This is going to be hard, but let's just see if we can tell what is done here. So we're looking at diffuse not equal 1, diffuse not equal 1. That's this one. I already did that. We want to look at the show generated code. There we go. So this is a much longer file. So this is what Unity actually generates from you from your code, because there's a lot of different versions that have to work on different things. So I'm just going to see if clip. No, I don't see clip. How do you discard pixel in shader? Clip. Discarding fragments. CG. Discard. Is it just called discard? Fine. Discard. Alright. So let's look for discard. Whoops. Uh-oh. Someone could hijack the broadcast now. Discard. Alright. I'm not seeing that. So that's good. I'm still not sure. I don't see this being a big speed issue, but it's potential. If there is something that's doing something similar to a clip operation, it might be slow. I would test it on your own. Make sure that it works for your stuff. Let's see. Will that mask out red ball show what's behind the cube? Yes, it does. You can use this with Unity free. Yes, you can. I patronize you guys. Thank you. Thank you very much. Really appreciate the support. By the way, I've gotten a lot of donations from people who don't comment afterward to get access to the Cooking with Unity super repo. So, ironic net, if you want access to the super repo, send me your GitHub username and I will get you access. If you don't have a GitHub username, just make one. They're free. Where a sprite triggers the message. We've done a message box episode actually. Hold on, let me find it real quick. Oh, that's why I can't find anything. Oh. This is why I have better snap tool. All right, so what am I doing? We're going to the archives. Let's go to videos. Actually, let's go to playlists, Breakfast with Unity, and it's in here somewhere. We did, what were you asking about? Message boxes. Deleted video, oh. Don't worry, I don't delete my videos. I think that was one that had a broadcast problem. Ballistic targeting grenade launcher. I swear, there it is. Message boxes. Long time ago. We don't trigger them via sprite, but I mean, you could set up a system to trigger them just fine. But yeah, we do have a message box thing, and it does. 15 to 20 minutes. Let's see what it does. Away, that's good, but I can't actually get out of here now. Yeah, isn't that awesome? Hello world. It says for a message system. Yay. So yeah, so if you want message boxes, we've already got those. Can we mask? Oh, I see. Can we mask sprites like this? Yeah, you should be able to mask sprites like this. It shouldn't be a problem. Just make sure that you find whatever shader your sprite is using and make it so that it does the stencil stuff. So anyway, yeah, good luck with that. If you do have trouble, please email me and I'll help you work that out. So if you want to get a sprite character, like doing like the Dragon Warrior thing, go ahead and email me pushypixels@pushypixels.com. I do respond to my emails. I do help people out. You can ask other people. So anyway, have a good one and see you guys tonight. All these clicks. All right. Stop streaming.